familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Hey guys, it's Cameron Saunders here from GOATformat.com and FormatLibrary.com here to talk about my GOAT control deck that I got top 4 with in the Dale Bolito Open 100. I chose to play GOAT control because I thought going in I would be playing against a lot of warriors. I figured in a single elimination tournament, what most people are going to want to go for is either the cheese with some library FTK type decks, or something really consistent that they won't have to worry about losing a match on since they don't get a second chance. So I figure warrior is going to be the pick for a lot of people. Jace recently won the Patreon tournament, which was 29 people, with his GOAT control list that main Chaos Command Magician, Jar of Greed, a lot of other trap cards. And I thought it was a really interesting list. I thought GOAT control was a really interesting pick, and it was the first time GOAT control had really won anything in almost a year, maybe even more. And I decided, well, GOAT control is more consistent than Chaos control. I love Chaos control. It's one of my favorite decks, but between the Chaos Sorcerers that are dead early game, the Thunder Dragons that don't do a lot, it's a really hard deck to consider playing for an event that's single elimination. You're going to brick and just get knocked out super quick, probably. So I decided, regular GOAT control, much more consistent, and there's definitely got to be a way to build this deck that warriors just fold to. So I decided that I was going to play, my 3 GOAT 3 meta combo. I play that in Chaos Control. I'm obviously going to play it in GOAT Control. I think Scapegoat is one of the strongest cards versus warriors right now. They're not building in preparation for it. And it's just, flipping Scapegoat is a huge play against them that can really turn the tide of the game for you if you have the right cards to abuse it with. Another card I decided was going to be Royal Decree. Royal Decree is great when you have defensive spell options like triple Book of Moon and triple Scapegoat, because warriors are really reliant on traps. And I thought going in there are going to be tons of trap cards in this event. And I definitely did play against some decks with tons of trap cards. And I was really happy every time I had Decree. But I'll get into that more later. Let me just start the deck off with the 2 Asura Priest here. Riding off of GOAT Control's recent success, I figured Asura Priest is probably going to be decent enough to play. I thought about playing 1 copy, but it's good with a creature swap that I also play. It's good against goats. If my opponent leaves their spy at attack position, it can catch them off guard and kill those. All around solid card. It's also extra lights for BLS. If you'll notice, I only have 2 Asura Priest and 3 Faith as my lights for BLS, so if my Faith gets knocked, then I'm not in a good position to ever even summon him. So I did decide that I needed the second Asura Priest in order to actually do it. Then I have a 1 Berserk Gorilla. Originally I had 2 Berserk Gorilla, 1 Asura. Berserk Gorilla is really strong versus warriors. It beats Kaiku, beats Skilldart Magician, crashes with Blade Knight after it's boosted. A solid pre-side option for warriors, and backed up by Decree, the 2000 attack is really good. So you'll also notice I'm siding the second copy because there's still plenty of cards that are not very good versus warrior in the main deck. So, but that was just an option that I wanted to have present in game 1 for warriors because I thought it was just going to be a great card versus them. And whenever I did use Berserk Gorilla, even in non-warrior matchups, it wound up being great. It was just huge damage, a quarter of her life points ripped straight away. It beats everything except Spy in battle. Great card. Then of course I have Blackluster Soldier. No explanation needed on him. Breaker, nothing, Dekoichi was a card that I really liked with the triple Book of Moon that I was playing. A lot of people in GOAT Control, when they play flip monsters, they like Merchant and they like Dark Mimic level 1 because they're level 1s for Metamorphosis, and that's fine. But I'm already playing 3 Faith, I'm already playing Serpent, and 3 Scapegoats. I have enough level 1 access. What I like about Dekoichi is that it has such a good combination against warriors, any deck really, but especially warriors with Book of Moon. I can set Dekoichi, set Book of Moon. If I'm not playing Sakuretsu, then I don't really want Dark Mimic there. If they attack with Blade Knight into a Dark Mimic and I book it, then that Blade Knight is still there, I can't run over it. If they attack with Blade Knight into Dekoichi and I book it, then I can flip the Dekoichi, run that Blade Knight over in response, and even if they Sakuretsu my Dekoichi, then it's paid for itself with a flip. So I don't have to worry about the Book of Moon being a minus or being, positionally bad there. In combination with Royal Decree, Dekoichi and Spy, they run over everything in defense position that the Warriors have, except for, Skilled Dark Magician if they're using that. Spy, of course, another great card versus Warrior. Every time that I flip Spy today, it was incredible. I stole many Spies with Mind Control as well, got my own out of the deck. It's a great asset to have versus Turbo, because if you are playing against Turbo and you steal a Spy, it's good to be able to pull one out of your deck for free and not worry about the fact you just wasted a Mind Control. The only thing normal Goat Control lists without Spy can do if they steal a Spy with Mind Control is flip it and then deny their opponent the Spy, but they still have the face-up Spy, which we're going to put in defense position, and the other two copies, the second can get the third, and they're not really out anything. You've -1 yourself to just put them back on a wall. It's the same as if they flipped it themselves and got the second Spy. Really not great for you, but in this deck you can actually take advantage of Mind Controlling the Spy. I only played two Spy because I don't actually think that it's the most ultimate necessary card, like Turbo needs it, because I do have the 3 Scapegoats, I have the 3 books. It's a great card to have versus Warrior, but I don't want the 3rd copy ever. There's just no benefit to having a 3rd copy when you also have all these other defensive cards against Warrior. 3 Faith is something I swear by. Faith is an absolute insane card to have in general, especially in matchups where resolving it can put you super far ahead. Against Jonathan LeBounty, I played him in round 2, and I opened Duo, which he blanked by setting his whole hand, but I also opened Pot next to it, and I resolved Pot 3 times thanks to Magician of Faith. He couldn't answer it, and I just had multiple Faiths in my hand, and it just pushed me over the edge of that game. Meanwhile, I was sitting on my defense position Spies that he ran into, just really controlling the board because he can't do anything to them. And it was a blowout from there. So 3 Faith is also a level 1 if you set it and meta. This is more relevant in Chaos Control, which is a play I do a ton there because I play 3 Faith as well. But if you meta a Faith into Thousand Eyes, that's instantly BLS, Chaos Sorcerer, instantly live. Your opponent really can't do anything about it at that point, and it's the most proactive way, other than Thunder Dragon, to make your Chaos monsters live. Especially if you've already flipped the Faith, and sometimes you have to set the Faith and then spin the meta. Even that's kind of fine. But a flipped Faith getting spent for Metamorphosis is a huge play. It opens up your whole deck for you when you're playing Chaos Control, and even when you're playing normal Goat Control, making sure the Blackluster Soldier is live is hugely important. Song and Sinister Tribe and 2 Tsukiyomi, Goat Control cards, very, very obvious cards. 3 Book, I already talked about why I played 3. It's great. With Dekoichi, it's great against, like I said, I thought there was going to be a lot of Goat Control, so turning off my opponent's Thousand Eyes Restricts and flipping down their Warrior monsters when they're playing those, and I actually played against Alephia, who was playing Monarchs, and Monarchs have very low defense stats. They have 1,000 defense just like Blade Knight does, so similar role in that matchup. If he summons Mobius on me, and I flip Book of Moon, then I can return the favor and run it over. So, just an all-around great card to have in the meta right now. Especially, like, playing triple Book of Moon in Goat Control is something that I wouldn't leave home without right now. So, I definitely think that that was a huge benefit to the deck, being able to effectively play Goat Control and not worry about anything really getting in the way of it, because I was playing so many cards that could benefit from the fact that, that my opponent's monsters were face down, they could recoup that loss from spinning the Book of Moon. I played 1 Creature Swap instead of 2. I normally hate playing 1 copy of semi-limited cards because it just looks ugly, but whenever I play 2 Creature Swap, it's terrible. I always draw it at the worst times, it's dead, it's useless. But every time that I had Creature Swap today, it was either ridiculous, or it was at least not terrible. And when you're playing 2 Asura, 2 Tsukiyomi, Serpent, Sangen, and 3 Scapegoat. It's pretty much always going to be alive. That one copy was never dead today. I almost always had some kind of combo with it. And, you know, every time I had it, it was great, and whenever I didn't have it, I didn't care, which is exactly what I want on a creature slot. You know, when you play 2 copies, you're going to have it at the worst times possible, but when you only play the 1, whenever you do have it, you're going to notice. Whenever you don't have it, you're not going to. And it's just a great tech option to have there. You know, Duo, Graceful, Heavy, you know, Triple Metamorphosis, obviously. There's not a lot to say about that. I don't like the list that play 2 Metamorphosis, especially if they also only play 2 Scapegoat. I think those numbers are fine together, but if you're not really capitalizing on what Metamorphosis can do for you, then I just don't see really a point in playing Goat Control when you could be playing Turbo or even just Chaos Control if you wanted to play 2 metas instead of 3. I think it's, you know, like the centerpiece of the deck, and you definitely want 3 copies of that alongside Scapegoat. So I obviously elected to play 3 copies there. It's just such a useful, versatile card. Even in this deck, where you're really only summoning Thousand Eyes, as opposed to being able to summon also Ryu Senshi and Balter, it's just great to have the 3 copies available to you. You know, then I play Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 Noblemen's and Pod, and 3 Scapegoat. 3 Scapegoat's always been something I enjoy. It fends off so much. You know, your opponent can attack with Blade Knight and Kaiku, and you flip Scapegoat, and if they don't have a Solemn for it, if they do have a Solemn for it, they're going to burn Solemn for it. If they don't, then, you know, you've got 4 chump blockers on the field, 2 of them are going to be left, and then you're going to be able to follow up with something. And even if you don't follow up immediately, the fact that you just bought effectively 2 draw phases off of 1 card, it's a huge play. It's great. I definitely recommend 3 copies. Anyone playing Goat Control. It doesn't matter if you're playing Spies. You know, I normally would say Spy sucks in Goat Control, but it doesn't matter. You need Spies right now, and you need Goats right now. If you're going to be playing Goat Control, you want to play 3 Goats. It's such a great card. It's everything you want for Goat Control, and so I definitely recommend 3 of those. And then I play Snatch, Mirror Force, Ring, and Torrential, and Decree. And so the reason I played Decree was because, like I said, I thought there were going to be tons of traps. I thought there were going to be tons of Warrior players. Even Turbo Game 1, Decree is pretty good. So I decided, well, you know, I don't want 2 Decree at once usually. It's not the best card to have in multiple, so I'm just going to play the 2 of it. I originally wasn't playing Torrential because I thought it would conflict too much with Decree, but I enjoyed having it every time I had it today. I actually, in my teammate Soul, I played against him in round 5, and he actually summoned 4 monsters into my Torrential, which sealed me at game 1. Like, there was, you know, just a blowout from there, even with Decrees in the deck. And, you know, having the trap options alongside Decree is a good way to throw your opponent off as well. It may not seem like it makes a lot of sense on the outside, because, you know, if you draw Decree next to these traps, then they're turned off or your Decree's turned off. But it's not really a huge problem. You can usually expend the trap before you flip the Decree, or even if you haven't flipped the Decree before the trap, then usually the pressure that Decree is giving you, because of what it locked off your opponent from doing, is enough to reconcile any issues you have with having Mirror Force or Ring or Torrential set. And those 3 cards, honestly, I just feel like are too good not to play. Even if I'm playing 3 Decree, I'm at least playing Ring, because Ring just steals games, steals things that you shouldn't win. It's the best 1-for-1 removal trap that has probably ever existed. For the main deck, it's I wouldn't say it's standard, but I also wouldn't say it's out there. You know, it's got these tech options like Berserk Gorilla and Decree, but they're just great against Warrior. I think the deck in general is great against Warrior. If people are, you know, still insistent on building Warrior decks that fold to Scapegoat Metamorphosis, then this is going to be the future of what you want to play against them. You know, Warrior decks in general are, you know, not a fan of Thousand Eyes Restrict. They have Exiled Force, and some of them might play Book of Moon, maybe Smashing Ground even, but there just aren't a lot of hard-coded outs in their engine that really get over the Thousand Eyes. So it's kind of difficult for them to play with that on the field, and Warriors have risen in popularity mainly because Thousand Eyes has fallen out of favor. So in a field full of Warriors, I felt like Goat Control with Decree was going to be the play, and it was the play until I played against Alethea, who was also playing Decree as far as I know, and was just not playing very many trap cards even if he wasn't. Not the best matchup for me. I thought I'd be fine. I did win game 1. Game 2 and 3 were pretty unfortunate, but I think I misplayed against him in game 3 anyway. So it is what it is. I think the deck did great. I went 2-0 versus everyone up until him. There was never really a situation where any of the cards were bad. And every hand I drew, I was like, I can play this. This is fine. It didn't matter what my opponent drew. I had plenty of Graceful Tea dragged open against me today, and I won those games. And Pot Duo, I won those games. It's the power of Decree to shut off a third of your opponent's deck, combined with Scapegoat Metamorphosis to lock down their field. They can't attack, they can't flip their monsters. It's especially strong versus Turbo because it forces out Chaos Sorcerer, and from there you can stabilize really easily. So I think the deck was a great option for the event. There's nothing I really regret about this list. I think all the parts together worked great, even the traps alongside Decree. Every time I had the traps, I was very happy to see them, and every time I had the Decrees, I was very happy to see them. So, all around, great working main deck. If I were going to make any changes moving forward, I might try a different light monster than the second Asura. I tried Merchant before I played the event, but the first time Merchant built BLS, I said, I'm not doing this. That's pretty much the win condition of Goat Control. I wasn't going to play Merchant for this event after that. 3 Faith was fine, and then the 2 Asura, great with Creature Swap, like I said. The 1 Berserk Gorilla, very great. And like I said, have a second beside. And moving on to that, we see the 1 Berserk Gorilla in the side that replaces these Noblemen, and then I also have 2 Smashings and Jinzo. So for Warrior, it was I took out the 2 Noblemen, I took out 1 Asura, and I took out 1 of the Faiths, because you don't really want flip monsters in huge quantities against Warriors. So I put in over those cards, the Berserk Gorilla, the Jinzo, and 2 Smashing Grounds. On top of that, I had my Kaikus. Great for the Turbo matchup, as always. Kaiku's exceptionally strong card there. It's reminiscent of my GFC 3v3 top 4 list, where I just main 2 Kaikus, I main Skilled Dark Magician and DD Warrior Lady, and I just went on the aggressive whenever possible because I felt like the deck had enough stabilization power to out-aggro the aggro decks and not even worry about it, which is exactly how I feel about Kaiku here, and it's why I like Dekoichi and Spies and Asura so much, even in this kind of meta. Even Spy alongside Scapegoat. The ability to go aggressive like that is just great. And then obviously I play the 2 Mind Controls, also for the Turbo matchup. Mind Control is even stronger with Spies in deck, like I said. You take a Spy from a Turbo player and you flip it, and all of a sudden it's actually meaningful. It's not like most of the time where you would do that and you don't have any Spies in your own deck and you're out a card and it didn't do anything to them. Then I played 3 Dust Tornado, for whatever kind of weird stuff I would see. I put those in the place of Royal Decrees a lot, as well as the Threatening Roars and Dust Shoots. Threatening Roars good for anything like Reasoning Gate, which I expected a lot of. Just not necessarily Reasoning Gate, but decks like it in this event because it was single elimination. Dust Shoots also great versus Turbo, great versus any weird decks. I sided them in versus Alethea and all the Chaos Control players I faced. So definitely really strong side decking options, I think, here. I don't think I regretted anything in my side deck. I don't think I wanted anything more. Maybe some weird cards like Picrus Circle of Enchantment for burn decks, but I didn't play against any of those. But that's always a good option for Goat Control, or even Hallowed Life Barrier for Rescue Cat decks, which I'm very thankful to not have played against, because that is a terrible matchup for this. And if you're ever having problems with Goat Control, just summon Gakugar Panda and just win. That's one thing that I was really glad I did not see, and I was really expecting to see a lot of, or not, well, a bit of, but luckily it came through for me that I didn't have to deal with that. Yeah, obviously I want to shout out, my team Damage Step, MMF, Tenfly, Pui, Soul, Jared, Mascus. They do a lot of help testing me. Insidious as well. He was a member of a team of the 3v3. And, they all do so much help testing. Really got me hyped for this event. I didn't do a lot of testing before it. I did most of my testing the night before, and I decided, based on theory alone, Spy is great, Scapegoat's great. This deck is going to beat Warriors, and, well, that's what it did. So all the testing we did was mainly just proof of concept, but Damage Step chat's always rife with theory, with a lot of really strong players making good calls on the meta, I think. And Soul got top 8 with me, and I was the one who knocked him out of top 8, sadly, which is, it sucks. I didn't want to be in the same bracket as any of my Damage Step members, but that's how it is eventually. Sometimes it's got to be like that. But 2 members in the top 8, 1 in the top 4. A great showing for Damage Step, so huge shout out to them as always. Shout out to Dale Bolito, of course, for hosting the event and putting up his money on the line for whoever won. Congratulations to Alephia for that as well. His deck's innovative. It deserves it. So, nothing but love to him, even though he did kind of draw the absolute nuts versus me. But, nothing against that. Sometimes that happens. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh! So, shout out to GoatFormat.com, all the commentators, FormatLibrary.com. Both of them have been great for pushing Goat Format forward, having tons of events, tons of tournaments that really get the format hyped. Great commentary from on the streams of both sites. Shout out to TK Griffiths for being the head judge of all these events, and shout out Gento and Tonic for hosting my deck profile here. So that's really all I've got to say about it. It's a solid deck. It's functional. It's classic Goat Control. There's nothing crazy, nothing wild. Maybe the Berserk Gorilla is a little out there, but I think it's a really strong tech option for Goat Control because you don't have to care about attributes as much. So, anyone who wants to try out Goat Control, this is another list that I think has worked great for me. And I think it will work great going forward. If people keep building decks like they do, Roller Decree is just going to get stronger. And Roller Decree is definitely the type of card that you want to be able to abuse when it comes to formats and metas where trap cards are so popular. So, peace out, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the deck.